Then we'd find her baskets. That was always a wonderful surprise. I knew her first, go back here. I knew her first as Ma. That's what we called her. She was born in 1893. And these were extremely difficult times for Native people, especially the children. She was born at the time when the White Earth Reservation was brand new, had been recently established. Her family was one of the first families to move to the reservation. Her family, this was a time when families were, living off the land. She lived by the lake, in the woods. They fished, they hunted. It was all about nature. They lived a really, really simple life. They had their own religion. And it was all about respect. The Indian religion was all about respect of others and the land. Was quote one.
Oh, I think I do. People always went by the seasons, Mrs. Robinson says, not by the date or the year. I was born on the full moon during rice making. My sister was born when the crows came in the spring. Jacob Redbird was born, they say, when the buds were forming on the trees. It must have been March. One of my cousins was born when the crabapple blossoms were blooming.
That was a simple life. Not very complicated. Everything related back to nature. Her family lived in one of the first homes in this little village of Natawash. They had a farm. That included a blacksmith shop, a carpentry shop, a granary on their property. And her grandfather and father worked for the Buffalo Bill Wild West show. In fact, they were part owners of the Buffalo Bill Wild West show. Go ahead.
Buffalo Bill was down here. I forget what year that was, but he came down here and visited my people. I remember him because I was just a kid. He helped me on this job, but I remember that. And he knew my grandfather real well because he used to travel with us. And we used to take a bunch of Indians from here to travel in the show. And he just happened to be in town. So I told her, I said, let's walk downtown. I said, I'd like to see. We used to call him Bigelow when we were kids. That's what we called it, the name we had for him, Bigelow. Bigelow. And I don't know why we called him that. Maybe we couldn't pronounce it Buffalo or something. But that's the name we gave it. And I don't know why he Bigelow, I said. She heard a lot about him too, but she didn't really know him. When we was walking across the street and we see that man standing across the street from us with his long hair and long coat, I said, there he is. I said, there's Bigelow. And she used to stop, and you see him, he come right across the street to us. He's this Indian girl, he said, and he shook hands with us. And then he started to ask us who we were, where we were from, who our people were, or he was asking her, and I was just saying it all, and he turned around to me, and I told him my father was Tyler Warren. He just grabbed me. I know you. He said, well, he used to call me Jessie as a little girl, and he called me Jessie. You're little Jessie, he said. He was so glad to see me.
That was a long time ago. Long time ago. But she lived in the time of Buffalo Bill. She also lived during the time when the government began to take away Anishinaabe culture and religion. In 1875, the government had banned all drumming, singing, dancing for anybody that was 50 years and younger. Why would that be? They thought and knew that when the elders died, those practices would also die. And it worked for the most part. It worked. It was very effective, what they did. In 1882, the Commissioner of Indian Affairs wrote a letter expressing the United States government's policy toward the Indian religious freedoms. Who has number 2?
There is no good reason why an Indian should be permitted to indulge in practices which are repugnant to common decency and morality. The preservation of good order on reservations demands of me active measures be taken to discourage and, if possible, put a stop to the demoralizing influence of heathenish rites. Prince's letter said. Prices.
That was the government's policy. They were called pagans and heathens. According to one of our tribal historians on the White Earth Reservation, violators were punished under regulations that were called Indian offenses. Food rations were held. If you were cited with practicing any of your tradition or culture, food rations were withheld. People were jailed. Children as young as 4 were taken from parents and sent to government boarding schools. They told me, historians told me, that 25% of children at that time from the White Earth and Red Lake reservations were just simply removed. And they were adopted out all over the United States. Indian spirituality and culture had to go underground during that time. My grandmother's family practiced the traditional religion that she grew up with, and she recalls that as a beautiful thing, something that was beautiful. When she came back, she only practiced the Catholic religion. She believed, at the time of this recording, that her life was better practicing her traditional religious beliefs and ways of life.
Well, there were better people than some of the Christians I know. I know they're better person. If I wasn't belong to a church, I believe I'd be a better person I am today. That's really right.